Bismillahi walhamdulillahi assalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah amma ba'd rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, my dear brothers. Today inshallah we will continue our study of Surah Kahf, and we will try our best to cover from ayah number 55 until 82 inshallah. So very quickly today, because we have more ayahs to cover, we will not be covering the lesson of the lessons of the previous class and actions. So inshallah, you guys can go through them as the videos get uploaded over YouTube. So starting today's lesson, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Ayah number 55, Surah Kahf. وَمَا مَنَعَ النَّاسَ أَن يُؤْمِنُوا إِذْ جَاءَهُمُ الْهُدَى وَيَسْتَغْفِرُوا رَبَّهُمْ إِلَّا أَن تَأْتِيَهُمْ سُنَّةُ الْأَوَّلِينَ أَوْ يَأْتِيَهُمُ الْعَذَابُ قُبُلًا. And nothing prevents men that they believe when has come to them the guidance and they ask forgiveness of the Lord, except that comes to them the way of the former people or comes to the punishment before them. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying mostly people, they don't believe because once the guidance has come and they should be asking for forgiveness. However, they do not do that except that they are following the ways of the former people, similar to people who were destroyed and whose nations were destroyed, and punishment comes right facing at them. So they are waiting for this and they are repeating what people prior to them already did to multiple messengers. And it's not the first time that the opposition is being faced by the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his companions. وَمَا نُرْسِلُ الْمُرْسَلِينَ إِلَّا مُبَشِّرِينَ وَمُنذِرِينَ. Now, what is the purpose of sending prophets? We do not send the prophets or the messengers except as bearers of glad tidings and as warners. So the glad tidings or happy tidings are for those people who believe and who follow the guidance. They will get the amazing reward in the life hereafter as Jannah and paradise, while as a warning for those who are not following the guidance, who are continuing on their own ways and who are ignoring the message and guidance, it's a warning for them, because then they may have to face severe punishment from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is the job of the messenger. They are the bearers of news that brings glad tidings, as well as they are warners for people who are not on the right path. وَيُجَادِلُ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا بِالْبَاطِلِ لِيُدْحِزُوا بِهِ الْحَقَّ وَاتَّخَذُوا آيَاتِي وَمَا أُنذِرُوا هُزُوًا. And dispute those who disbelieve with falsehood to refute thereby the truth, and they take my verses and what they are warned in ridicule. So those people who are not believing, they think that, it is something that can be taken lightly, which is why they even make fun of, so there will be Jannah, okay, so there will be, so there will be a day of judgment, and once we die, we will be again raised up, okay, and then, okay, so there will be, gardens and paradise and all of. So they don't take it seriously. Actually, they don't take it seriously because they are the ones who are not believing. They don't believe. وَمَنْ أَظْلَمُ مِمَّنْ ذُكِّرَ بِآيَاتِ رَبِّهِ فَأَعْرَضَ عَنْهَا وَنَسِيَ مَا قَدَّمَتْ يَدَاهُ. And who is more wrong than he who is reminded of the verses of his Lord, however he turns away from them and forgets what his hands have sent forth. So basically, they just completely ignore the guidance. Whenever some ayahs are recited to them, or whenever they see signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whenever they look around, in the skies and the universe and the system Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created, they just ignore it. They think that yes, it was there, and it's already created and was created by a bang and all of the theories that they have. So they just turn away from the message and the ayahs and the verses of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when they are recited to them. And they are forgetting what they are sending forward, meaning whatever actions we are doing in this world, they will have a repercussion on the day of judgment. It's not like it's my life and let me live the way I want and I'll just have party and I will, do whatever I want. And no, it's not like that. Each and every action will have a repercussion on the day of judgment, on the day of Qiyamah. Now, in terms of those people, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying they turned away from the ayahs. So I just wanted to ask, what is the meaning of turning away from ayahs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Anyone would like to answer? Any one of you? Anything that comes to your mind? The meaning of turning away from ayahs and signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Basically, it's the way we need to look at it is that, we say somebody is a kafir or somebody is a mushrik who is denying the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who's denying the messenger completely. And there were mushriks who were denying, right? So one person denies the ayahs, or he's saying, yeah, so he heard about them, but he says, no, it's not, I don't believe in it. However, other people, they say, no, we believe in it. We are Muslims. Alhamdulillah, we are Muslims. However, they don't act on the knowledge. So if you don't act and you get the knowledge, it's as good as denying the knowledge completely. Because, obviously, if you would believe in those things, then you would tailor your life. You would make sure that you're doing the things that are right or the things that are halal and abstaining or stopping yourself from doing what is haram and what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked us to stay away from. So both these people who are denying, as well as those people who are getting the knowledge but not acting on it, and they're saying, yes, yeah, okay, it's okay, I believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's okay, yes, it's a matter between myself and him, and they're not practicing. So it's a very, very important. One thing is to be a Muslim, the other thing is to be a practicing Muslim, because you can be born Muslim. A lot of people are born Muslim in Muslim families. So it's like, you have to embrace the faith again. Once you mature, you have to embrace, you have to really start believing that yes, there is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yes, Quran is word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was indeed the messenger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he is the final prophet, and now the Sharia of Islam has been completed. All of these things, believing in angels, and all the elements of Iman that we have been taught, we have to believe in everything as mature minds once we mature up, right? So from that angle, you have to believe and then start acting on that knowledge, on that guidance, because otherwise it is the same. If you don't act and if you don't change your ways, and if you just continue to take riba and you are involved in zina or you are doing whatever, as long as you continue your life and there is no impact on your life, then it is as good as somebody who's denying, because again, you're also not taking action and that person is also not taking action and they're also denying. So it's very, very important that we understand that it's not really sufficient to be a born Muslim, but yes, we have to take certain actions and we have to follow the guidance throughout our lives. Now, what is the main purpose that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shared these ayahs as guidance? So why did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reveal the Quran? Why did the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam explain everything to us in his hadith? And he practically showed it to us via his sunnah and his acts, everything how it is supposed to be done. So he was a true living example for us to follow, right? So the reason this was shared was, of course, to follow the guidance. It wasn't just shared, yes, FYI. No, it was FYA. So it wasn't FYI for your information only. It was it is FYA, which means for your action. And sometimes the actions are tough. Sometimes you may feel that, oh, Fajr, it's so tough. Oh my God, now I have to wake up. Oh, no, I'm so cozy these days. It's winter and I'm under my blanket. This is the time you have to let go and pray Fajr. This is action. Otherwise, you are the same as someone who is not believing in Islam. He's not praying. He's a non-Muslim. And then you are also not praying. So your actions are similar, right, to those. So those people who believe and they take action, those are truly the practicing Muslims. So the reason why all this guidance and everything has been sent to us by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, why the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the sole objective is that we change our lives and we take some action to follow that guidance and we completely implement it on our lives. Because knowledge without action is of no benefit. Just knowing about it is, and not taking any action is same as a person who never knew about it, right? So the action for us out of this conversation is, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, don't turn away from the ayahs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that is, implement the guidance and change your life once something good has reached to you. And we should become better Muslims every day by gaining Quran, Hadith, and Hadith knowledge, and also implementing it in our life. So it is very, very important. Now let's continue the ayah from where we left it. Inna, so I am on the second line towards the end. Inna ja'alna ala qulubihim akinnatan ay yafqahuhu wa fi adhanihim waqra. Indeed, we have placed over their hearts coverings lest they understand it, and in their ears deafness. So these are the people who are denying the signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who are making fun of the signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as we saw in the previous ayah. So once they have this approach, once they have this evil intention in their heart, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala covers their heart, and now they cannot understand it. And their ears, it's like almost they are deaf. So even if you will say good things to them, they will not change their action. They will say, yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah, okay, Mr. Okay, you're a very good Muslim, very good, very good. Yeah, I'll follow. No, so they don't. وَإِن تَدْعُهُمْ إِلَى الْهُدَى فَلَن يَهْتَدُوا إِذًا أَبَدًا. And if you call them to the guidance, then never they will be guided then ever. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying those people will not be guided, and then you can imagine what will happen to them on the day of judgment. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us to be amongst those people. Ameen. Moving forward. وَرَبُّكَ الْغَفُورُ ذُو الرَّحْمَةِ. And your Lord is the most forgiving, and He's the owner of the mercy. He's the start of the mercy. He has absolute mercy and all the mercy that we can even think of. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the most forgiving and owner of mercy. لَوْ يُؤَخِذُهُمْ بِمَا كَسَبُوا لَعَجَّلَ لَهُمُ الْعَذَابِ. If He were to seize them for they have earned, He would have hastened surely for them the punishment. If immediately Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala starts to hold us accountable, imagine our life. So it's like a surveillance camera, CCTV always on and watching us. Whenever we do something wrong and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala punished us, obviously He has the power. But why is He not punishing people? Sometimes people think, oh, why is there so much cruelty in this world? Why? How come all of this is happening in this world? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, now we will see, بَلْ لَهُمْ مَوْئِذٌ لَنْ يَجِدُوا مِنْ دُونِهِ مَوْئِلًا. But for them is an appointment, never they will find other than it an escape. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has appointed a time to hold everyone accountable. There is a point of our death. That's where our actions will cease. Once we die, we cannot do any more actions. So everybody's time is there. Even when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives you power, there is a time for it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can revoke it anytime. Even if He gives you wealth, whenever these things are given and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blesses us with such things, it's a test for us for a certain time. People reach and peak their power, or let's say when they're in job, once they reach a certain point in time, however, everything can be taken away. Their job can be lost, their business can be lost, and certainly the power is gone. When they had that, it came to them as a test. What will they do with it? Will they harm people, or will people benefit from them? Similarly, when position of authorities, position of being in a government, being a prime minister, president, minister, whatever, counselor, mayor, all of these powerful positions that people hold, even being in the position, in leadership position in your family, as a role that you're playing in your family, all the different roles that we play, all the different responsibilities that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bestows us, and power and wealth and everything that bestows us, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is a test for us, and which is why there is a certain time. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving time so that we may ask for forgiveness if we are on the wrong path, or we go further in our ways so that on the day of judgment we get a severe punishment. وَتِلْكَ الْقُرَىٰ أَهْلَكْنَاهُمْ لَمَّا ظَلَمُوا وَجَعَلْنَا لِمَهْلِكِهِمْ مَوْعِدًا. And these, the towns, we destroyed them when they wronged, and we made for their destruction an appointed time. A lot of nations used to tell their messengers and prophets, we have seen in the past in multiple surahs, that bring the punishment, and we will see, and all of that. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brought them severe punishment, and entire nations were wiped away. So this has already happened. Messengers, there was opposition against messengers, and the nations have been punished in this world, and wallahu alam, whatever is happening to them in the hereafter, or whatever will happen to them on the day of judgment, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. So from that point in time, we should not think, so now we should not think that now, so if somebody is cruel, how come Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not grabbing them immediately? Now we have this explanation in the past 2-3 ayahs, that yes, there is an appointed time. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives time to everyone so that they can ask for forgiveness and revert back. If they don't, they go severe in their punishment. Moving forward. وَإِذْ قَالَ مُوسَى لِفَتَاهُ لَا أَبْرَحُ حَتَّى أَبْلُغَ مَجْمَعَ الْبَحْرَيْنِ أَوْ أَمْضِيَ حُقُبًا. Now, a very interesting set of story is coming of Musa alayhi salam. And he started his journey, and Musa alayhi salam accompanied a very learned person, a knowledgeable person from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Some of the Islamic scholars say that he was Khidr alayhi salam, and then some of the people say that he lived for thousands of or hundreds of years, and there are multiple things. However, we should stick to the core of the message. We should not get into these details. Yes, you can find these details, and there are different scholars who have shared these details. But again, as in the previous story of the companions of the caves, Allah SWT said some people are discussing that if they were 5 and it was already happening at the in front of the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that how many companions of the caves those young people were, and this and that. So we should not distract ourselves from the core of the message. And in order to study the core of the message, we should stick to the information that Allah SWT has given us and try to take the lesson from it. If you can find some additional information, that is good for information purposes. But for action, Allah SWT has completed the story. So let's focus on him. And let's assume he was Khizr alayhi salam, or he was a person of knowledge whom Musa alayhi salam wanted to meet and learn from. So this is what we know. And Musa alayhi salam set out on a journey with his young student. And maybe that young student, some of the scholars again say, that was accompanying Musa alayhi salam to even learn from him, because Musa alayhi salam at his time obviously had the most amount of knowledge. He was getting revelations from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So there were multiple students who would come to him. And in those times, the best way to learn was to attach yourself to the ustad or to the teacher. And they used to live and walk and do and everything with them, so that they can continue to learn from their wisdom and, from their knowledge. So Musa alayhi salam set for a journey with this young guy who was his student. And when Musa said to his boy, I will not cease, I will not stop until I reach the junction of the two seas, or I continue for a long period. Now, Musa alayhi salam was looking for that learned person, Khidr alayhi salam, and this also shows to us that even learning never stops. So while Musa alayhi salam was the most knowledgeable, perhaps one of the most knowledgeable at that point in time, he himself has a student, but it's not like he's saying now, I'm getting revelations from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and I don't want to learn further and everything. So, and obviously this would have been a revelation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that this is the journey that he needs to take, and he will find Khizr alayhi salam, or wallahu alam, who that learned scholar was, who had extra knowledge from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala directly. So anyway, so these two started the journey in order to find him, and now it seems like that they're in a boat and they're going via a river stream. And Musa alayhi salam told the young man that when the two seas meet at that point in time, at that junction, we will continue to walk, and even if it takes us a long time, it doesn't matter, we will continue to walk. So this is what he said, and now they started the journey. فَلَمَّا بَلَغَا مَجْمَعَ بَيْنِهِمَا نَسِيَا هُوتَهُمَا فَاتَّخَذَا سَبِيلَهُ فِي الْبَحْرِ صَرَبًا. But when they reached the junction between them, they forgot their fish, and it took its way into the sea, slipping away. So what happened is, they would have taken some food, and it was like some of the scholars say it was like a big fish they had kept with them so that they can eat, and probably it was pre-cooked, because obviously in the journey it's very difficult to arrange for the cooking and all of that. So they may have roasted it, barbecued it, whatever, and it was like a meal for them, and they brought that fish with themselves. So what happened is that while they were passing that junction, that fish, with the miracle of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it became alive, and it took its way into the sea, and it slipped away. Slipping away meaning that you have seen how fishes, swim. So it's like, she just slipped her way and she made her way during the river. However, the student at that point in time, he didn't realize. The young guy who was with Musa alayhi salam, he did not realize. فَلَمَّا جَاوَزَ قَالَ لِفَتَاهُ آتِنَا غَدَاءَنَا. So Musa alayhi salam, then when they had passed beyond, so they just moved a little bit further, Musa alayhi salam said to this boy, to his young student, bring us our morning meal, because he may have felt tired and now they are a bit hungry during the journey. And then he asked that let's eat that fish and bring it out so that then we can continue. لَقَدْ لَقِينَا مِنْ سَفْرِنَا هَذَا نَصَبًا. Now his student realized, certainly, yes, so now Musa alayhi salam is saying, certainly we have suffered in our journey and we are a bit fatigued. So they felt a bit tired. Now what happened? The student immediately realized what had happened. قَالَ أَرَيْتَ إِذْ أَوَيْنَا إِلَى الصَّخْرَةِ فَإِنِّي نَسِيتُ الْحُوتِ. He said, his student told him, did you see when we retired to the rock, when we were resting at a place, then indeed I forgot the fish. So I missed it. وَمَا أَنْسَانِهُ إِلَّا الشَّيْطَانُ أَنْ أَذْكُرَ. And not made me forget except the shaitan that I mentioned it. So he saw what happened to the fish, but then he's saying, I was, I forgot about it, but because maybe, shaitan is the one who made me forget it. وَاتَّخَذَ سَبِيلَهُ فِي الْبَحْرِ. and it took its way into the sea. So he indeed saw that miracle while they were resting. Maybe he thought that he wouldn't disturb. Musa alayhi salam would have been resting, and then as he's saying that, Shaitan made him forget, so he just forgot. Young guy, young student, right? You know how young students are as well. So he forgot about it, and then he just immediately remembered when Musa alayhi salam asked him that, bring our food, the fish, and then he said, miraculously now I remember, and miraculously just go, and it made its way into the sea. Ajaba, it was amazing. It was something like, it's like a miracle. Because it was a cooked fish, how can it just take life and go into the water? قَالَ ذَلِكَ مَا كُنَّا نَبْغِ. He said, that is what we were seeking. Now Musa alayhi salam told him that exactly that was the point where we wanted to go. That's where we'll find that person of knowledge. As I said, some scholars say it was Khidr alayhi salam. فَارْتَدَّ عَلَىٰ آثَارِهِمَا قَصَصًا. So they returned on their footprints, retracing. They went back and started to retrace their footprints just to find that place so that he can find him. فَوَجَدَ عَبْدًا مِنْ عِبَادِنَا آتَيْنَاهُ رَحْمَةً مِنْ عِنْدِنَا وَعَلَّمْنَاهُ مِنْ لَدُنَّا عِلْمًا. Then they found a servant from our servants. Look at the description. Wallahu alam if it was Khidr alayhi salam, whoever that person was, but this is the description we are getting from Quran, from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then they found a servant from our servants, whom we had given mercy from us, and we had taught him from us a knowledge. He had some extra knowledge, which is a mercy from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Even when we are getting knowledge, this is also mercy from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We should not let go of this mercy. And again, as we were discussing, that we should also act on this knowledge in our previous action that we were listening, because then a person who's acting and not acting are the same. They are both ignoring the signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala don't make us amongst those people. So basically, so he was one of the servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had blessed with some extra knowledge that he had. قال له موسى هل أتبعك على أن تعلمني مما علمت رشدا. Said to him Musa, may I follow you on that so that you teach me of what you have been taught of the right guidance? I want to seek knowledge. And look at the way, the respectful way Musa alayhi salam is also addressing, and he's saying, if you allow me, may I please join you and accompany you in your journey so that I can learn from you in the wisdom. Now you see the roles have been changed. The young boy who was a student and Musa alayhi salam was the teacher, and now in front of this person, the servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, maybe Khidr alayhi salam, wallahu alam. So now the role has been reversed. Musa alayhi salam is the student, and this person is now the teacher who has been given special knowledge from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So now interesting things will start to happen. But the first thing that person told Musa alayhi salam, Qala, the teacher, let's call him the teacher for the sake of simplicity. Now he's the teacher, and Musa alayhi salam is with him. So his teacher told Musa alayhi salam, Qala innaka lan tastariya ma'iya sabra. He said, indeed, you will never be able to have patience with me. Now he's talking to Musa alayhi salam, he's messenger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he said, you will not have patience with me. So this is a very, very important point. وَكَيْفَ تَصْبِرُ عَلَى مَا لَمْ تُحِطْ بِهِ خُبْرًا. And how can you have even patience for what you do not encompass any knowledge of? This is a very, very important point, and I need 100% of all your attention. So he said, you will not be able to have patience with me. And how come you can have? So it's not like you don't want to, but you cannot have patience because there is certain knowledge that you don't have understanding of, and that will make you impatient. You would want to know immediately what's happening. Why is this happening? And this is again a lesson of life that I want you guys to understand. When do we get impatient? So when we are in our lives, we are impatient. Sometimes they say, this person is so impatient. Don't be impatient, be patient, and all of that. So the cause of being impatient is when something is not in our control, or we don't have knowledge related to either past, present, and especially future. So imagine you are sitting in a room and you have few friends, and a couple of friends are talking amongst each other. You will become impatient. And if you overheard your name or somebody you know and everything, you'll say, guys, come on, tell me what you're talking about. They'll say, no, we'll tell you about it tomorrow. Or, no, not right now. And they start to smile amongst each other. You'll become impatient. You'll say, no, please tell me now. Now, why don't you? Or imagine somebody talking to you and they say, and they're about to say something and they say, okay, and they stop. You'll say, what were you saying? They'll say, no, it's not important. You'll say, no, please tell me. No, it's not. It maybe, and you'll say, no, tell me. So it's the lack of knowledge that makes us impatient, and lack of knowledge, not just about the past and the present, but especially also the future. What will happen next? This makes a lot of people anxious. This is the anxiety, the issue of anxiety. What will happen? Oh my God, if this happens, and what will happen? So we become anxious when we are eager to know what will happen the very next moment, because something has happened right now, and this can really mess up in our mind a lot. And people, there is anxiety and all of this, and depression, and sometimes people have these psychological diseases. So action for us right now, and we will complete this action later on as well. Once we go through the full story, we will complete our discussion on it. But right now, from this point, what we need to understand is to be patient. First of all, we need to relax and believe everything is in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's control, and He loves us more than anyone in this world. So once you put this in your mind, this is a very important action for you. Once you put this one in your mind, then you will stay relaxed and in control. Yes, you can put in all your effort, you can use your best effort, but in order to be patient, you have to relax and believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Everything is happening for a reason. You may not understand, and eventually you'll know. And this is the moral of the story that we are about to go. So now they are both about to start the journey. And now Musa alayhi salam is giving him his promise. Qala satajiduni insha'Allahu sabiran wala asi laka amra. He said, you will find me, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wills, insha'Allah, you will find me patient, and I will not disobey your order. So this is a commitment that Musa alayhi salam made, and now they are starting their journey. قال فإن اتبعتني فلا تسألني عن شيء حتى أحدث لك منه ذكرا. Now, when they about to start the journey, this person who's the teacher, now he's laying out a ground rule. So he's about to say, okay, now this is the rule that you have to follow. If you follow me, do not ask me about anything. So be patient until I present to you of it a mention, meaning until I tell you about it or I give you some knowledge. Then until that point in time, you do not have to ask me anything. So this is like sort of an agreement that they are making before they are starting the journey. فَانْطَلَقَا, so they both set out. Now they have started the journey. حَتَّى إِذَا رَكِبَ فِي السَّفِينَةِ خَرَقَهَا, until when they had embarked on the ship. So they started a journey on the ship, and there were some other people as well who were the owners of the ship. What happened is, this person, this teacher, maybe Khidr alayhi salam, wallahu alam, so this person, he made a hole in the ship while they were in the ship, and Musa alayhi salam was there and everyone. قَالَ أَخَرَقْتَهَا لِتُغْرِقَ أَهْلَهَا. And now Musa alayhi salam became impatient. He said, have you made a hole in it to drown its people? We will all drown. And these people, they are like poor people who have this, the owners of the boat. What will happen? Why did you make a hole? لَقَدْ جِئْتَ شَيْئًا إِمْرًا. Certainly you have made a very grave thing. How can you do that? So Musa alayhi salam couldn't hold back to himself. What was the agreement? If you remember, he said, don't ask me anything about any action that I am doing until and unless I tell you about it. However, because Musa alayhi salam saw it happening and he panicked a little bit, maybe, the ship was there and he was making a hole in it. So he said, why are you doing this? Well, you may make us drown. قَالَ أَلَمْ أَقُلْ إِنَّكَ لَن تَسْتَطِيعَ مَعِيَ صَبْرًا. Then the teacher, he reminded Musa alayhi salam, he said, didn't I say that you indeed will never be able to have patience with me? So now he's reminding him of the agreement. Now Musa alayhi salam realized, he said, قَالَ لَا تُؤَخِذْنِي بِمَا نَسِيتُ وَلَا تُرْهِقْنِي مِنْ أَمْرِي أُسْرًا. He said, please do not blame me for what I forgot, and I forgot our agreement, and do not be hard upon me in my affair, and do not raise it difficult, make it difficulty. Now I will, stay quiet. And he started to say this. So please be easy on me and please forgive me for this time. فَانْطَلَقَا. Then again they set out for the journey. So the journey of the boat has ended, and they both started the journey. حَتَّى إِذَا لَقِيَا غُلَامًا فَقَتَلَهُ. Until when they met a boy then he killed him. So they met a young boy, he was approaching them, and that person, the teacher, he basically just immediately killed the young boy. As soon as he killed it, what happened? Musa alayhi salam again was, in a shock. Qala aqalta nafsan zakiyatam bighayri nafs. He said, have you killed a soul pure for other than a soul? How come you can kill someone? Generally, you take a life if somebody has killed someone that you know, right? So in Islam, it is allowed that then you can take the equivalent, let's say punishment can be given. Or so if somebody kills one of your person, then you can kill one of their person equally. So he's saying without any reason, it was a young boy and you killed him. لَقَدْ جِئْتَ شَيْئًا نُكْرًا. Certainly you have done a very evil thing. Now Musa alayhi salam is telling him, certainly you shouldn't have done this. This is not fair, and how come you did it? Now his teacher or Khizr alayhi salam, Allahu alam, so he replied, Qala alam aqul laka innaka lan tastati'a ma'i sabra. He said, didn't I say to you that you will never be able to have patience with me? Again, Musa alayhi salam realized his mistake and he said, Qala in sa'altuka an shay'in ba'daha fala tusahibni. He said, if I ask you about anything after it, then do not keep me as a companion. Then you can ask me to leave. Now I am making sure I will not ask anything. I will hold back myself. Okay? قَدْ بَلَغْتَ مِن لَدُنِّي غُذْرًا. Verily you have reached from me an excuse. And he's saying that, yes, I have provided you an uzr, or I have provided you this thing. I kept on breaking my agreement. From now on, anything that you do, I will not ask. Please keep me with you. Now I will, hold back. فَانْطَلَقَ. Again, they started their journey. حَتَّى إِذَا آتَيَا أَهْلَ قَرِيَةِ نِسْتَطْعَمَا أَهْلَهَا فَأَبَوْا أَنْ يُزَيِّفُوهُمَا فَوَجَدَا فِيهَا جِدَارًا يُرِيدُ أَنْ يَنْقَضُّوا فَأَقَامَ. Until when they came to the people of a town. So they were traveling for a long time, and now they came to a town, and they must have been hungry. They asked for food from its people. However, they refused to offer them hospitality. And so what happened is they came to that village or that place that was there. And obviously, since they had been traveling, Musa alayhi salam and this person, maybe Khizr alayhi salam, that they were traveling together. So both of them, they asked those villagers, can you please give us some food and be hospitable to us and everything. They said, no, we don't have food, and they were not hospitable. Then what happened is they found in it a wall that was about to collapse. So Khizr alayhi salam and his teacher, he basically started to repair that wall, and he set it straight. Now, obviously, in the same town, this is happening, that they asked for food and now the people refused. And Khizr salam, when he walked forward a little bit, he saw a wall breaking up. And it was like about to fall, about to collapse. So he started to repair it, and he just repaired the wall completely. قَالَ لَوْ شِئْتَ لَاتَّخَذْتَ عَلَيْهِ أَجْرًا. He said, now Musa alayhi salam again could not hold his patience, and he said, if you had wished, surely you could have asked for a payment for it. These are the same people who are not giving us food. Now you're passing their town and you're repairing their wall. So you could have at least asked for some money or some food against doing this job. How come they didn't even give us food, and you're providing them a benefit and setting up this wall straight? So he could again not stop himself from asking. قَالَ هَذَا فِرَاقُ بَيْنِي وَبَيْنِكَ. Now, the person, the teacher, he told him, he said that this is now the parting between you and between me and between you. So now this is the point that now we cannot continue the journey, because obviously, you could not keep the agreement that we made, and this is the third time. سَأُنَبِّئُكَ بِتَأْوِيلِ مَا لَمْ تَسْتَطِعْ عَلَيْهِ صَبْرًا. And now I will inform you of the interpretation of you were not to be able to have patience on. Now I'll tell you the reasons for everything that I did in the past three situations that you could not obviously hold patience of. And he already said at the start that it's none of your fault, because sometimes when you don't have the complete knowledge, it makes you impatient. This he already said, but then he made an agreement that you are not supposed to ask the question. And of course, Musa alayhi salam, he asked questions. So now he will explain one by one. Amma safinatu فكانت لمساكين يعملون في البحر فأردت أن أعيبها وكان وراءهم ملك يأخذ كل سفينة غصبا. As for the ship, it was of the poor people working in the sea. So I intended that I cause a defect. When he put a hole, we made a defect in that boat, as there was after them a king who seized every ship by force. So where they were about to go, there was a king who was living, and whenever he would find a nice boat, he would seize it. And these were the poor people. When he made the hole so that it became defective. So when it goes and the king's people are inspecting the boat, if they should seize it or not, they say, ah, it's the one, it's a faulty one, it's a hole. No, 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 we don't want it. Go, go, go. So the entire, instead of giving them the entire boat and getting it seized, this was the reason that he did the hole. Remember, at that point in time, Musa alayhi salam and anyone who would have gotten the initial knowledge would have said, oh, why are you putting a hole? We are all in it. We will drown. And this is for poor people. But he had that knowledge from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as a special mercy for him, which is why he created that hole, so that that boat will not be taken away and they can still keep it. So the hole can be repaired, of course, versus the entire boat being taken away. So this was the wisdom behind creating that hole on that boat. Moving to the story number 2. وَأَمَّا الْغُلَامُ وَكَانَ أَبْوَاهُ مُؤْمِنَيْنِ فَخَشِينَا أَنْ يُرْهِقَهُمَا طُغْيَانًا وَكُفْرًا. And as for the boy, his parents were believers, and we feared that he would overburden them by transgression and disbelief. So the boy whom he killed, the young boy who was coming, and he killed them with the, I'm sure with the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with the instruction of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he was killed. His parents were pious and they were believers. If that boy would have grown up to be a mature man, he would have disbelieved. And and of course that would have caused a lot of sorrow, a lot of pain for his parents as well. So he would have led in transgression and he would have done disbelief. So which is why he was killed. فَأَرَدْنَا أَن يُبْدِلَهُمَا رَبُّهُمَا خَيْرًا مِنْهُ زَكَاةً وَأَقْرَبَ رُحْمًا. So we intended that we would change for them their Lord a better than him in purity and nearer in affection. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has plans to give them more children, more offspring, who would be better than this person, that this son, and they would be closer to them in terms of being more pious, being more religious, being more believers, and also taking care of their parents. So when he would have raised, would have caused more pain for them, while Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has plans to. Of course, when he was killed, they would have been really in sorrow, and this is something that we need to understand. Here, the pain of losing your own child is tremendous. And inshallah, when you guys will start your own families, and once you have your own children, then you will realize the love that parents have for their own children and how their life revolves around. And we see a lot of times, a lot of things happening in the world, and people start saying, oh, how come this happened? Oh, poor kid, and they have this terminal disease, or a young kid can get a disease, or they can even pass away, or some accident can happen, or anything. Always understand there is wisdom from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Of course, it is painful for the parents. Of course, there can be painful situations for us in the interim. However, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala always have this belief, has something better for us. So whenever something is precious is taken away from us, and we are being patient on it, just because we believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there is a better reward waiting for us from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This was the case for the parents of that boy. So obviously Musa alayhi salam did not have this background knowledge, which is why he reacted and say, oh, how come you can kill this soul? But obviously his teacher, or Khidr alayhi salam, wallahu alam, he had that knowledge, and he did that with the guidance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Moving forward, the last point about the wall. وَأَمَّا الْجِدَارُ فَكَانَ لِغُلَامَيْنِ يَتِيمَيْنِ فِي الْمَدِينَةِ وَكَانَ تَحْتَهُ كَنْزٌ لَهُمَا وَكَانَ أَبُوهُمَا صَالِحًا. And as for the wall, it was for the 2 orphan boys in the town, and it was underneath, there was a treasure for them, and his father was righteous. So why he built that wall? It was not for the people of the town. It was for the 2 orphan boys who were obviously and underneath that wall there was treasure that their father had protected for them, and everybody knew that they are the owners of the wall, but probably people did not know about the treasure and everything. So he reconstructed that wall, that once those kids, they will get they will mature, and when they will grow up, perhaps they will find this with the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and eventually they will find this. Because if the wall would have fallen, maybe the treasure would be out, and then the rest of the people of the town would come and they would take away, and all of that. So that was the reason that Allah that he selected the wall, and he didn't have to, take the payment or anything from the villages. فَأَرَادَ رَبُّكَ أَن يَبْلُغَا أَشُدَّهُمَا وَيَسْتَخْرِجَ كَنْزَهُمَا. So the intention of your Lord was when they reach their maturity and bring forth their treasure. So once they reach their maturity, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will bring the treasure to them. And in order to protect it, the wall had to be reconstructed. Rahmatam mir Rabbik, as a mercy from your Lord. Wama fa'altuhu an amri, and I did not do anything on my own accord. So all the three actions that he took, he had the mercy of knowledge from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as we saw in the previous ayahs. And now it is being confirmed, everything he did was from because of the instruction of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he was guided to do that. ذَلِكَ تَأْوِيلُ مَا لَمْ تَسْطِعْ عَلَيْهِ صَبْرًا. So these are the interpretations, these are the reasons for which everything was done, and you were not able to have patience on them. And obviously you could not have patience because you did not have the knowledge about them. So what are these stories teaching us? Anybody would like to take a shot? What is the lesson for us from these stories? Anyone? Anything that comes to your mind?
The one is always be patient.
Yes, Jazakallahu khairan, Ahmed. Yes, we have to always be patient. Excellent. And yeah, this is the crux of it, that regardless of whatever is happening around us, Jazakallahu khairan, Ahmed, for the answer, that we have to be always patient. One fact that we have to always remember for life, only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has the absolute knowledge. By absolute knowledge means everything. He knows everything. What we hide, what we don't hide, what we tell, what we don't tell, what the humankind has not even reached within this universe and beyond this universe, in the seas, in the skies, and everything else. Only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has the absolute knowledge, and only he himself has the absolute power over everything. He controls everything. We can never know the wisdom about everything that happens around us. We should not make these judgments. Oh, what is happening this? And sometimes people say, oh, and how come Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not doing, and there is so much suffering in this world and all of these things. We don't know the wisdom behind what is happening. How can we say that? Or how can we even think that? So first thing that you need to realize and internalize within yourself for life is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has knowledge. Only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has knowledge about everything, and he has power and control over everything. We can never know the wisdom about everything that happens around us. We may wish for something to happen, but if it doesn't happen that way, that means there is wisdom from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And another fact that you need to know, because obviously we are so much engrossed in our own lives, in our own studies, in our own jobs, in our own families, our own problems and everything else. Another fact that you have to know is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves us more than anyone else in this world. And even when things don't happen according to our desires, the way we want them to be, they are the best for us in the long term. And they are the best for us anyways, because momentarily in the short term, you may feel, I did not. You applied for a job, you applied for a university, and you did not get admission in the university. You don't know what would have happened, right? You are about to make a journey, and it's a 2-hour drive, and it's on a highway, and something happens to your car. And then it's a small thing. It delays you by 1 hour. You don't know what could have happened. You would have driven in your car, maybe some accident would have happened or something, but it got avoided. So sometimes we feel these momentarily things that it's like, why did it happen? And why is it happening to me and all of that? But we don't know how it is benefiting us. Even when you get a disease, you don't know how it is benefiting you. Any adverse situation or any positive situation that happens for us, obviously positive things we take amazing. Like, when you get something, when you get a great job, or you get into your university, or you get, you are sometimes you even forget about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Sometimes you are thinking, it's because of my own thing and everything. And once we are going down road and when we start losing things, we are like, why, how come I tried my best and how come I did and all of this? No. So we have to be always, we need to remember these two facts, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has the wisdom behind everything that is happening in our lives, and the things are connected more than we can imagine. Maybe you did not get a job, someone else got a job and they had a family that they had to support and everything else. Maybe you got something and someone else, we only look at our own circle or people who are directly in touch with us. We don't know what is happening in the bigger scheme of things, right? Only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has knowledge of that bigger scheme of things. So action for us is be content and thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in all situations. That will help you to be patient. As Ahmed also mentioned previously, Jazakallah khairan Ahmed, that we have to be patient in all situations. And the way you can be patient is when you are content and thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We don't know what is best for us because we don't have the absolute knowledge. We don't have the knowledge of the future. We don't have absolute knowledge about everything. Only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows wisdom behind everything. So the action that we should take is keep praying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, keep praying to him for everything and be happy with his will, with whatever happens, with the instruction of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also says, we read it in Surah Ibrahim, which is Surah number 14, ayah number 7, if you give thanks, I will give you more. And later part of that ayah also says that if you are not thankful, then obviously Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is severe in punishment. So we should always be thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in every situation. We should know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves us. That should give contentment to our heart. And continue to strive, try your best. I'm not saying that, okay, leave and say, okay, fine, I will get that mission if it is best for me and whatever is happening. And no, try your best, give it your best shot, but then leave it to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The outcome has to be left to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because not everything is in our control. So I hope this point is clear and this amazing story taught us multiple lessons. So this marks the end of today's lesson. I don't know if there are any comments. I'll just quickly go through the key actions and I will pause if you have any other comments or questions. The first action was don't turn away from the ayah signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is, implement the guidance and change your life. So, and we discussed that there is hardly any difference between a person who completely denies the signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, denies the guidance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and a person who says, yes, I believe, but takes no action. So he continues to do the wrong things. He continues to do the haram things. He continues to watch whatever shameful content and everything, continues to have bad company. So that person and that person who's completely denying, they're almost the same because nobody's taking action. So the important thing is once you have received knowledge, you have to take action. And from an Islamic perspective, from religious perspective, that means we should become better Muslims every day by gaining more knowledge from Quran and Hadith of the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And once we gain that knowledge, we implement it in our lives. This is very, very important. One thing you learn about riba, leave it for life. You learn about zina, leave it for life. You learn about any other thing, alcohol, whatever. You have to take immediate action. It cannot be that, yes, let me just make a house and for that I will only have mortgage for 10 years and I will continue to give interest on it, or I will just need this lovely car and I don't have enough money, so I need to pay the installments for 10 years and 5 years and this and that. Don't get into this trap. You can die tomorrow. So you don't know even if you have 5 years, 10 years. Don't say that I will start praying when, or I'll do make Hajj. I have the money, extra money, but I will make Hajj, once I am. No. Don't give future deadlines that you're not really confident of. And we should not be confident of because we don't know if we will even live for the next moment or not. So take action immediately. It's better for us that we take action immediately because we don't know when our time will come, right? Moving forward. Number 2 action for today, to be patient. What we have to do is we have to relax and believe everything is in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's control and he loves us more than anything in this world. He won't let anything happen to us that is not beneficial for us, even if it is a disease, even if it is a negative situation, even if whatever comes our way. Sometimes it can be against what we are thinking or against what we want to happen, but have trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He loves us most and he has control over everything, right? We become impatient when something is not in our control, and when we don't have the knowledge related to past, present, and future, and we become a lot of anxious. What will happen, and what will happen next, and this and that, and you know. So yes, you should try your best. Again, you should strive for knowledge, but you should not become impatient when you don't have everything. And the final thing, that once we went through the story of Musa alayhi salam and all the parts of it with the more learned servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whom, as I said, some of the scholars say was Khidr alayhi salam. Wallahu alam. So the core of that for us was we have to be content and thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in all situations. We don't know what is best for us because we don't have absolute knowledge. We don't have the complete knowledge. Only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows wisdom behind everything. These days, especially for young people, you want to get married to someone, and now you're really trying hard, and then eventually it doesn't happen. That person got married to someone. Now you're thinking of killing yourself because your life has ended. Come on. I mean, if it was meant to be, it would have happened, right? And obviously, you should start with the right way, approach it the right way, the way how our religion guides us in terms of getting married. So never think that now it's the end of the world. No, regardless of what loss you incur, regardless of which person goes away from your life. Because what we need to realize is every person, everything in this life, everything that you gain, it can be a material thing like wealth, it can be power, it can be house, car, whatever. Everything can come and go. Similarly, for people, everyone can come and go in your life. You start your life with your parents, and then they grow old, and then some of them pass away, and then you start your own family, and you have your own kids, and then they have their friends, and all of this, and you have a best friend in school, and then in university you have different friends. When you go to work, you hardly retain 2 or 3 of them. The point is, in this entire world, in this entire life, our context of life in terms of the material things and in terms of the people in our lives continues to change. The only thing that we need to know, the only constant in our lives is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who has been there forever and will stay here who will stay as well forever. So if you establish your connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then you don't need anything else. And I'm not saying that leave all your friends and leave all your family and say now I'm having the connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and I'll go in a jungle. I'm not saying that. We have been guided and we know the sunnah of the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, how he was connected to his family, how he was connected to children, how he was connected, how he would respect the elders, how he would stay connected with his companions. So all of this has been taught by the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam to all of us. However, the strong connection, the strongest connection and the constant connection should be with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Once you have this connection in this life, you will be ready to die even, because you will be prepared to die. And once you die, you would have that connection, and that will continue and will be the source of mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, inshaAllah, for all of us. So this is the core message, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has the wisdom behind, and he knows the wisdom behind everything. Be content with his will and his wisdom, and continue to pray to him for ease, continue to pray to him for afia in this world and in the life hereafter. So I hope this point is clear. Are there any comments, anything before we close today's class?
No, sir, thank you.
All right, excellent. So we close our today's class with this prayer. Subhanallahi wa bihamdihi, subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Purity belongs to Allah and all praise be to him. Purity belongs to you, O Allah, and all praise be to you. I bear witness that there is none worthy of worship besides you. I beg forgiveness from you and I repent before you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, my dear brothers. Inshallah, I will see you next week, same time.